The Hometuck Epilogues, Bridges and Off-Ramps by Andrew Hussey, abridged by Jackie, aka Jax. I originally envisioned releasing the epilogues only as a book, to even further emphasize their conceptual separation from the main narrative. The stark presentation of the black and white covers, its dual narrative format, the foreboding prologue combined with an alarming list of content warnings, and even the fact that an epilogue is delivered with a prologue first, all appears designed to make the reader nervous about what to expect from it. Such is the nature of a cursed tome retrieved from a place which may have been best left undisturbed. We were perfectly aware the epilogues would cause a massive amount of discussion and agitation in the fandom, so it seemed better to just let it out there, allow the maximum number of people feel whatever it would cause them to feel, give people time to process those feelings, and move on to whatever comes next. I think it's heavily implied to be a piece of bridge media, which is clearly detached from the previous narrative and conceptually optional by its presentation, which allows it to also function as an off-ramp for those inclined to believe the first 7 acts of Homestuck were perfectly sufficient. But implied is all it was. There was no immediate announcement for follow-up content. More time was always going to be necessary to figure out what to do next. Just by using the label epilogue at all, it seems the story is admitting to an apparent flaw. Whoops, I forgot some shit. Here's some more. Take a 50-chapter novel with an epilogue, for example. Why isn't the epilogue just called Chapter 51? If it's not important, why are we reading it? And if it is important, why is it given a label which is almost synonymous with afterthought? Is it a simple parting gift to the reader to provide minor forms of satisfaction which the core narrative wasn't built to provide? Is it actually important to deliver those minor satisfactions? But actually, there's really nothing wrong with epilogues. It's a perfectly reasonable thing to include in any story. It's just that the more you ask questions like these, the more you are forced to think about the true nature of these storytelling constructs, the actual purposes they're meant to serve. And with something like Homestuck, where issues like this are heavily foregrounded, like what should be considered canon versus not canon, or even more esoteric concepts like outside of canon or beyond canon, then the issues you uncover when you ask such questions about an epilogue can't really be ignored. There's also stuff to think about just due to the epilogue's presentation as fanfiction, and that it's the first installment of Homestuck, which includes other authors. By doing so, I'm making an overt gesture that is beginning to diminish my relevance as the sole authority on the direction the story takes, what should be regarded as canon, and even introducing some ambiguity into your understanding of what canon means, as the torch is being passed into a realm governed by fan desires. If the epilogues really prove to be the bridge media they were designed to feel like, then I expect this trend to continue. The fanfiction format is effectively a call to action for another generation of creators to imagine different outcomes, to submit their own work within the universe, to extend what happens beyond the epilogues, or to pave over them with their own ideas. So now, I'm looking to all of you on the matter of where you go next. Wherever the most conscientious and invested members of the fandom want to drive this universe, as well as the standards by which we engage with media in general, that will be the direction I follow.
Also, cease and desist any third-party applications. It feels like there was not a lot to say, but a lot of words used to say it.
Yeah, so this, again, was heavily abridged. I will be linking to the full thing if you want to read it. I was really trying to make it shorter to get to some of the points, but I also, didn't want to sit here and summarize because I felt like that would take longer. And I just wanted to read as many quotes so people couldn't say I was taking it out of context, but I feel like I had to abridge it so much to just get rid of some, repetitive stuff that it still might seem out of context, but I promise you, I did my best to keep everything in the context of what Hussey was saying. I will link it. You can go read it. Also, it is a little meta because this was delivered by Hussey to be read on a different Homestuck podcast that was definitely not official, which is why it got a thing that Hussey wanted people to say, but was only given to that podcast because it wasn't an official podcast. I guess I can ask, did you gain anything from that beyond, they sure wrote a lot of words?
I think the main purpose of that write-up was to say that Hussey wanted to pass on the work of Homestuck to other people.
Yeah.
And then it feels like a lot of definitions of canon in order to possibly justify it or something.
Yeah, I mean, justify is certainly a word. I don't know if like justify is necessarily the right word. I just feel like they were patting themselves on the back like a lot. So it is a lot of talk about like canon, which is why I included it. It is not just a talk about canon, it is discussing the purpose of the epilogues and how canon the epilogues are, which is not is the simple way to say it. Like that is the simplistic version. If you take all those words, it's just not canon. It is exploring, and as we learn in the as we learn in the prologue, it is exploring the fact that it's not canon. The whole, like, as the prologue sets it up, it is about the epilogues not being canon and how to make them canon, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, because, like, talking about the canon of the epilogues is so much, because everyone has different opinions on it, and so I am going to have to go through some bullet points, because I feel like I've said this on some episodes, but I have so many opinions on the epilogues. I am trying to keep some, like, contained, so I is like, okay, well, here's just my thing on canon, so I'm not bringing it up all the goddamn time. Will that stop me from bringing it up all the goddamn time? We'll know in the future. I mean, I don't know right now. It's me. Mm-hmm. It probably won't stop me, but I'm gonna attempt, and I think that's what's important.
Is Jackie bringing it up going to be outside of canon or in
canon? Yeah. It's like, what is the canon of Live, Laugh, Stuck? Are the episodes that, like, seem less relevant now, are those, like, no longer canon? Are things I disagree with now in previous episodes no longer canon? Are things that guests now disagree with no longer canon? Actual canon starts at Moosielogues, and fucking, this is so funny. So I don't pay attention to my subscribers a whole lot, but I just happened to look at it today, and I noticed I lost a subscriber right after I posted the Moosielogues Hometuck finale. It was just like, okay, well, the canon of Live, Laugh, Stuck has ended. It existed for the Moosielogues Hometuck and nothing else. And I think that's great.
Yeah, I must have said something in the very last episode that made them mad.
Nah, I mean, maybe it could be that. It could be something else. But it could also I like to think that it's just like they were done. Like, this is what they were here for. And we finished. So they were done. I'm not that worried about it. It just looked funny.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the context of the statement is it was released after the epilogues, but before the announcement of Homestuck 2. So whenever Hussey's talking about, like, you know, it's only implying that there's a further narrative, that Homestuck 2 was not announced. No one knew Homestuck 2 was going to happen. Obviously, like, by calling it a bridge, and, like, there's some stuff that, like, were, like, could be considered, like, spoilers for stuff, except for the fact that you already know Homestuck 2 exists. So, like, calling it a bridge, like, is implying that, like, however the epilogues leave off, sounds like there will be something more for Homestuck 2.
How soon was this write-up released after the epilogues? Or, actually, did the epilogues come out little bit by bit?
No. So, that's one of the things I kind of had to cut for time, was the epilogues. The prologue came out on the Homestuck day, on John's birthday. And then I can't remember if the rest of the epilogues dropped, like, immediate, like, the day after or, like, the week after or something. I could probably look it up. Okay, it came out August 24th, 2019. Still, so that's, like, April, May, June, July, August. So, like, 4 months.
Also, it feels weird that, I mean, I know 2019 was 6 years ago now, but that feels like modern times.
I mean, you're talking, yes, exactly. It's like, even though it's pre-COVID and a lot of people are able to separate, like, post-COVID from pre-COVID, like, it still feels like, it is still, like, obviously it still feels pre-COVID to me, but it still feels like really soon, even though it was pre-COVID.
Yeah.
But that's just because so much happened. Like, so much happened. It was, like, again, like, we got the Skynet drop on January 1st, and then we got the epilogues drop, and then everything went to shit. Nah, I'm joking. There was a lot of good stuff. So, like, months after, like, they truly did let the fandom settle and, like, pour gasoline on just start the worst fucking controversies. And just everyone was lighting fires and pouring gasoline on the fires. And then Hussey's like, well, I think it's been enough time that I'm going to say that that it's not really canon. And you can just, like, ignore them if you want. You know, months after people have been arguing about this and, like, crucifying each other over this, I'm just going to say, it's like, it's an off-ramp. Like, do what you want.
People were really, like, mad about the epilogues?
Oh my god. Oh my god, yes. Like,
Okay.
obviously, like, I'm referencing a lot of, like, discourse that happened after it that didn't necessarily have to do with the epilogues themselves, but that was more like a springboard. But oh my god, yes. There's just stuff I've left out of this that, like, really kind of explores further. Like, we'll get to it. They're probably not even, like, really spoilers, but I'm keeping it vague just in case.
Okay.
Yeah, so the epilogues are an off-ramp by design. They're called dubiously canon. Like, it's the epilogues, like, they're called dubiously canon in the thing, right? And, again, fans are encouraged to expand on it or just pave over it and just say, no, this isn't what happens, I'm going to do my own thing. Again, I'm hammering this point home because, like, whether or not the epilogues is canon has been so clear to me from the start, but everyone kept arguing about it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then also, like, Hussey's idea of an epilogue is dumb and stupid, and I hate it. And because, like, they got more into a description of what an epilogue is than what I had in here, and I just kind of used that summary, whatever it was. It's like, oh, I forgot something, I'll put it in. That's not what an epilogue is.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an epilogue. It's not like, most epilogues don't come out 3 years after the thing ended. Sequels will do that, maybe like a side story or like an offshoot or something, but epilogues don't traditionally do that. They're usually like, okay, well, you want to see, like, the nice conclusion to the story and, like, how everything's settled, like, years later or however long later. So, like, we ended the story, we're gonna skip past the boring stuff and get to the explanation of the happily ever after, especially if there's, like, it might not be so straightforward, or it's like I just think of, like, Ella Enchanted, where it's just, like, there were some kind of, like, okay, well, like, the Keena's kind of, like, has a big racism problem and stuff, so, like, how are things after? And, like, how has, like, there been some reform? Or like, in the Hunger Games, like, just a little bit about, like, how Katniss has, like, dealt with the trauma. And so it's, like, skipping all the boring stuff, because the main story is done, but we still want to say, like, okay, yeah, like, these characters have kids, and they're doing well, but there might still be some struggles, and that's it, right? It is not, oops, I forgot stuff.
And then they send their annoying kids to wizard school.
Yeah, I mean, like, even back when Harry Potter was, like, not controversial because of J.K. Rowling, like, people, like, were generally fine with Harry Potter fans, and Harry Potter fans were, like, fucking obsessed. Fucking everyone hated the epilogues. Like, Homestuck fans, Harry Potter fans ignore the epilogues. Like, it's something that we have in common. Fucking no one likes the epilogues. It's or the epilogue of Harry Potter. It's like, it was just so peak neoliberalism that everyone fucking hated. It's like, this isn't what happened actually. There is no way that Harry decides to become a wizard cop. That's dumb as hell. Yeah, sorry. I'm getting off a rant about a different epilogue. This is just a great way for me to, like, it wasn't an epilogue. Actually, it almost could serve as an epilogue. Fucking the last episode of How I Met Your Mother. But yeah, because, like, an epilogue is more like what the Snapchats were to Homestuck, right? It was it wasn't just, like, one skip, but it was just, like, a slow, like, skip through the years of seeing how everyone is settling in and what everyone was doing. It didn't give you all the answers for stuff. It showed you there was still some conflict going on out there. But it was, like, a general, like, hey, things are going, like, mostly all right, and here are some more things to, like, bounce off of. That's what an epilogue is. It's not, oops, I forgot stuff. And I just, like, every time I hear, like, anything about, like, Hussey's actual thoughts on storytelling and what they think they're doing with storytelling, I hate it. Like, they're just wrong. And I love Homestuck so much, but they're just wrong about so many things.
They also got their bachelor's degree in storytelling, and it shows, because their knowledge of computer science and storytelling, 1-to-1. I'm just being facetious.
Yeah, God, for real. Okay, and now my feelings on canonicity. I was having this conversation with Dami, and I was trying to, like, wrap up my conversation with Dami in a way that I could be here, because I feel like I explained it to Dami in the most coherent way I possibly could. But so much of what I was saying was in a reaction to what Dami said, so then I would have to say, Dami said this, and I said that was dumb shit. And I don't want to do that to my editor, who controls my words.
You can have Dami dub over with her own voice.
Yeah. But, basically, like, individuals on their own level can decide their own canon, right? Like, if someone looks at Homestuck and says, you know what? Solix is gay and Iradia is transmask. And so it works out. Like, they can just say that, and that can be their canon, right? But they can't go up to someone else and say, it's like, isn't it so cool that Iradia is transmask? I really love that they did that in Homestuck. That makes no fucking sense. So there has to be some authority on what is canon and what is not. Even though, like, it's never specifically said in Homestuck. It's like, no, Iradia's cis, or Iradia's trans femme, or Iradia, like, explicitly is not transmask ever. Don't even think about it. Like, someone still has to, like, have a general idea on what, like, canon is. There has to be an agreed upon understanding of, like, the basic of canon, right? Like,
what has been written.
Yeah, and yeah, there are, like, side things, right? And there are side things that we just, like, we don't consider that canon for the most part, like, because it is outside of the comic. Like, most people do not reference Dave's blog as a canon thing. People do not consider Skynet canon because that was an extra thing years after it ended. They didn't like a lot of it. And while some people might, like, use that for their ideas of characters, or they might say, I really like this thing of Skynet, and to me it's canon. Like, there's a general agreed upon thing that if it happened in the comic, it's canon. If it's not, it's probably not canon, but we can argue about, like, Hussey's Word of God, which has always been cherry-picked. But that's the thing, is, like, canon outside of the canon of Homestuck has always been cherry-picked. The canon inside Homestuck can be cherry-picked, but...
This makes me think of the Bible.
Exactly, I mean, because that's what canon came from, right? And that's what, like, me and Dami, like, initially talked about, and I feel dumb, like, trying to repeat the things Dami said about, like, canon and the Bible, because she's smarter about that than me.
I'm actually gonna look up the etymology. Sorry, because I didn't actually know, like, canon comes from...
like
church,
the biblical
yeah.
canon, yeah.
Well, see, I was never raised in religion, so everything I have is just by, like, pop culture / being around people.
No, to be fair, I didn't know canon as a term originated from biblical canon. That was Dami who told me. Cause Dami's into, like, deep shit of religion, but specifically if it gets weird with shit. And also Lutheranism.
So that is interesting how it ties together then, the way we have derived, like, a media analysis term, ? Or
Yeah.
something based on old rules around the Bible and that being canon.
Yeah. Because, like, that's the thing, right? It's like, yeah, someone can say, is like, okay, the Council of Nicaea was wrong, and actually these books are also canon, and they can say that, and then they'd get beheaded for it, right? Like, because the authorities said that they're not canon, and back then, they were real mad about that stuff. But yeah, like, there's the Gnostic texts and the Apocrypha, and then there's, like, Catholics have more books than Protestants do. So there's different versions of what is considered biblical canon, but there is still, like, general authorities who pass down on what is considered canon and what is considered typically heresy, which I guess fandom can get real into considering, like, other stuff heresy, but it is still like you'll have your different groups. Like, there are groups who think that the epilogues are canon, and within their own group they will have that agreement and they will talk about that. And then the groups that they don't think the epilogues are canon, the sides will massacre each other, just like the Crusades.
Yeah, so just different religions.
Yeah.
Different forms of Christianity. we can dance over here, and you cannot dance. And
yeah,
no shellfish.
Exactly. Yeah, different sects of Homestuck fandom. Yeah, because then it does start breaking down. It's like you have, like, the overarching Christianity, Christians believe this thing. Within that, we think these books are canon. Within that, we have these interpretations of the things. Within that, actually, we just made up some new books, and we have some different interpretations of the old ones. We're right, you're wrong. Deal with it.
Now we're all moving to Utah.
So yeah, but it's just, like, you can't, like, come at, like, Catholics with shit from Mormonism and expect them to, like, be on the same page with you, right? Unless it is about something that is already agreed upon from, like, higher up the echelon. Anyway, so higher up the echelon, the highest echelon is the epilogues are optional, and thus they are not canon in the way we as a fandom talk about canon. Canon, it's dumb because canon means a lot of things, right? They are canon in the fact that like they originated from, like, they are official, right? They are an official thing that was put out officially on the Homestuck website, even though it would have been much cooler if they posted it on AO3. But then they would have had to do the tags different because they did the tags wrong, and I'm going to get to that in a second because I'm mad about it. And then we can get into, like, canon about, like, Homestuck canon is already weird because we have the Doom timelines, and, like, there's, like, infinite Doom timelines, so everything has happened in a Doom timeline that just, like, didn't create the alpha timeline, as Dami helped explain it to us last episode. I consider everything outside of, like, the canon, like, the main Homestuck is kind of like what-if scenarios. Like, what if John had dreams in anime? Like, what if that happened 7 years after they left? He was a lonely, sad sack, and, like, he had anime dreams. What if?
I do have questions about anime dreams, but we'll get to that later, I guess.
Yeah, we'll get to that. And it's just like, creators do that sometimes. Creators, like, they'll be like a really intense work of fiction, and then they'll just write a side thing about, like, what if they just had, like, a nice Christmas, though? Like, there's no way this can take place in canon with what we know about it, but, like, what if they just had, like, a nice Christmas? There's also, like, Hussey has said that all ships are canon. But, you know, kind of like with a Radiant Solix thing, you can't just go, is like, isn't Aerodave so cool? I love Aerodave and how canon it is in Homestuck. And people will be like, what do you mean? There's, like, no Aerodave in there. But all ships are canon.
Just given infinite timelines, there's going to eventually be something.
There's going to eventually be Aerodave. And out of the infinite timelines, Aerodave's probably, like, the least weird of the ships that'd be out there, right? That's the least weird thing that can happen in infinite timelines. But yeah, like I said, we've always cherry-picked stuff. Like, even the Formspring stuff that, like, because it's bad. Like, the Formspring stuff, like, I think we've talked about it before, Moosie, where Hussey had a Formspring that he'd answer stuff, and, like, some of it was really bad. Like, all the characters, like, because people asked about the race, and it's like, oh, yeah, all the kids can be any race but black. That's a thing he said. And then had to backtrack on, and had to pretend like they always meant their characters to be any race, and just, like, up to reader interpretation.
Why would you even say that?
Because it was 2010 or whenever the ask was done.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was like Hussey in 2010. Like, remember, we didn't go backwards in time to read Problem Sleuth, and I was warned multiple times that there are multiple bad racist parts in it. And then Cyclonials, oh my god, you've been spared from me and Dami talking about Cyclonials.
I did watch a video of, like, the first two episodes of Cyclonials.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess they're like separated into chapters or something because it's like a game. It's a visual novel.
But it's not really a game because Hussey can't actually program.
Yeah, Hussey didn't program. It was someone else. But yeah, so I like, Dami read it and it was like telling me stuff, and then, like, I also need to read. Geo did a commentary of it that I want to read, but, like, I've seen enough, like, actual quotes from it and everything that, like, not to get too off topic, this might be something that's cut for, like, bonus content, but the main character is Asian American, like, explicitly Asian American, and their name Zhen gets pronounced wrong, which is why she ends up going by Z instead of her name. And, like, that is considered to be, like, from my understanding, that sounds like a Chinese name. It's, like, within, like, Asian American, it's like, okay, well, that sounds like Chinese specifically. But even just Asian American, at one point in the game, she explicitly creates a false flag, and as a false flag talks about a fake airborne bioweapon, and she uses that fake airborne bioweapon in order to take control of an island. So he has, and this is during the COVID pandemic. It canonically takes place during COVID.
And that's, during 2020.
Yeah, like, she has COVID for a section. It's plot relevant.
Oh gosh.
So she has, like, Hussey has an Asian American create a false flag airborne bioweapon to take over part of America.
Not reading the room, or maybe reading the room, but being Hussey.
Being Hussey. Like, either that was just, like, this, like, honestly, this game would be less racist if the main character was white. Genuinely. It's weird to have to say that about something.
Yeah.
Anyway, but like that's not even like the only weird race thing. It's just like, no, like Hussey's still bad about like race stuff, even if maybe it's less intentional now, but like I don't know. Yeah, cherry picking canon. No one considers that to be canon, obviously, but they do consider Kanaya as a lesbian to be canon, even though that's only said in the commentary, or not in the commentary, in the Form Spring. But yeah, so that's my stance. Original Homestuck, canon, everything else, what if scenario.
Yeah.
It's a really quick way to summarize my entire thoughts that I just spent a very long time talking about. We are 30 minutes in and have not gotten to the fucking epilogues.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So on to the actual notes. So you didn't read the AO3 tags, huh?
I did not. I mean, I don't know. I was just like, there's a big list of words. I guess maybe I skimmed things and I was like, oh, okay, well, huh.
So that's the thing, right? I also did not read through every single tag on this list. And yeah, everything that is tagged happens in some form or another in the epilogues. And so, if you have any criticisms about things that are in the tags, well, you were warned. It shouldn't be out of nowhere because you were warned at the beginning.
Looking forward to the gerrymandering and the super packs.
Yeah. Yeah. I won't comment on which ones I remember being what and like how relevant some might be over others. Some of them, yeah, I do just guarantee that like everything listed here happens. There's like one or two tags where people are like, that's listed, but I don't remember this happening. And so there's been some arguments over some of that, which I'll get to later. Anyway, this is supposed to be it's supposed to be like copying AO3, right? And I guess they just weren't fully committed to the bit, but as someone who like really likes AO3, I did get kind of annoyed that they started copying AO3 and didn't go like fully in. Because like, I mean, for one, this is kind of me being really picky, but they tag it as being like MM, MF, FF, multi-other. But like, that's for when it's focused on the ships. And I don't think it's a spoiler to tell you that the epilogues are not focused on the ships. Relationships within it are like relevant because they're things the characters are doing. But like, I tag my Dirt Cat fic as MM because this is Dirt Cat fic and the fantasy elements come second. If it was me focusing on like world building and fantasy and like building out this kingdom and then also like characters got together, then that would be like a gen ship, like a gen ship. Not a gen ship, Jesus, a gen fic. This is a gen fic, and they were just like using it to be like, haha, look at all the relationships that are in here.
Mm-hmm.
To make you like question like multi and other, right? And then their content warnings are fucking buck wild the way it's formatted. Because again, it's not like AO3, because AO3 has archive warnings that would be like at the top, basically. Like the first tags you read are the content warnings, and they are very specific. You can choose graphic depiction of violence, major character death, rape/non-con, underage sex. Or you can say none of those warnings apply, or you are choosing not to use archive warnings. So one of those could be in there, all of them could be in there, none of them could be in there. They just don't feel like tagging it or don't want to. Like a lot of times it's like if they feel like it would be a spoiler and they want to tag it. But like in this one, they have like content warnings as their own tag. Because they have like the characters, the content warnings, and then the other tags. Yeah. They don't have the relationship tags, which I kind of get because that would be spoilers for like who is together and who isn't. So I'm fine with them removing that. I think it would be funny if they kept those in there and just blurred them all out or something. But like, so their content warnings and their other tags don't make a good distinction. You kind of can't tell. I mean, like, there's general content warning, sure. It's like, yeah, these are generally things you would warn for content, but like everyone has different like perspectives on what constitute a content warning and what is just like a normal tag. And I feel like there's a lot of mix-ins between those. And I feel like if they had just like left out the other tags and kept the content warnings, I think that would be neat. I really don't know how they decided which ones were and which ones didn't count as like content warnings versus just like other tags. So I'm gonna list some that they called content warnings instead of additional tags that I think were just put in there for jokes or just like tags that seem like jokes, whether or not it's like just in general, even if like it would make sense to be in content warnings, like whatever, just like tags that seem like jokes. We got breast milk. We got milking. We got alternate universe, canon compliant, canon divergent, all being back to back. We have daddy issues and pregnancy and babies and bimboification and furry, anthropomorphic characters and friends to lovers under content warnings.
Mm-hmm.
I also don't know how they decided, because up at the top, they have a bunch of content warnings that are like bolded. Like, these are the more important. It kind of seems like how it would be formatted if they were archive warnings, except there's like 10 of them or something. And I don't know how they decided like what goes up there. Like, everything that was bolded seems like, yeah, these are pretty intense content warnings. I understand it. But then there's stuff like vor and cannibalism that's down at the bottom of the list, which that seems like, I mean, I think that should be like bolded and important. I think cannibalism is like a big deal content warning, but I don't know.
Especially if it's described like the way the meat eating is described.
Right. That's actually the secret cannibalism, is we just don't know it yet. And then in the additional tags, there's stuff that would have been worked better as content warnings, like guns and kidnapping. Those are content warnings. Anyway, I hate it. I hate it so much. It's a mess. And again, like, this is why I didn't pay super attention to them at the beginning. Like, for one, I skimmed through them. For two, the fact that there are so many is a joke, right? It is a joke.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, like, if, like, every single one of these were, like, real and serious things and not, like, super packs under content warnings, I would take it more seriously. But because there are so many, like, jokes thrown in there, it is hard to conceptualize them as things that are, like, really going to happen. And then, like, with suicide, I mean, like, Dark's done that a bunch. You could call, like, a bunch of things. Like, a Rose and Dave go on a suicide mission, like, to explode the green sun. Like, so you're thinking about stuff like that, and you don't take it seriously. But, like, anytime someone was like, this is kind of fucked up how you portray this, they're like, well, we had a content warning. And it makes me mad. And we'll get to why.
Okay.
One day. That's what I just have to keep saying about so many things. It's like, I'll get to that. So John has a dream in anime, which he describes as deeply pretentious, and I agree.
So here's what I was confused about, because it seemed like the start was about a black hole, and I don't know what it means by dreaming in anime and how that relates.
Damn, I don't fucking know, I'll be honest. Every time I think about dreaming anime, I just think about the fucking song I wrote for my Candy musical. Unfortunately, you will also hear that a lot as we read through Candy, is me referencing my Candy musical.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely don't know why it's called Dreaming in Anime, and this might be something that Dami, like, names and shames me about as she's editing. And that's just how it's gonna be. I don't know, like, maybe just because, like, it's so, like, weird, like, visually weird, and, like, just... Because it's fucking a wild description, right?
Yeah, but nothing about it, like, really screams anime to me.
Yeah. I'm just trying. I'm just saying shit.
Does Hussey even watch anime? It's like, clearly Hussey doesn't read AO3 or program or know what an epilogue is.
But the thing is like, because Hussey isn't the only one who wrote this.
Yeah. I see a Lalo Hunt and Cepheid variable in CT set is what it lists.
Oh, yeah. For some reason I thought it was like, I forgot Lalo Hunt was one of them. And then there was like, but yeah, so it was a few people writing it that was left intentionally vague, so people couldn't be like, well, this is the part that Hussey wrote, so I'm ignoring everything that Hussey didn't write, right? Even though I'm pretty sure that they did not write the dreaming and anime sequence, that doesn't sound like they're writing at all, and I just don't think they have the chops to pull off such completely different style. But that's just me. It's fine. Like, I don't care if Hussey wrote it or not. It's just like, I was reading it, and I'm like, this doesn't sound like Hussey. Some of the other stuff I can see, like, them, like, mixing in and writing, but, yeah. What do you think about there still being prompts in the text? I don't think I was super into it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that obtrusive.
Yeah.
But it is like a font change, and it is a little distracting. I guess it kind of gives you additional, maybe, insight into what John is thinking or gonna, I don't know. I mean, it's already in second person, but...
Yeah, there might be some stuff later that will explain it. I am, like, both going in this as I have not read this in a while, and also, like, I'm trying to come from the perspective of a first-time reader, so I might say things that people are like, well, you've read this, so you should clearly know that later, blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna do some of that when I can't help it, but I am also gonna try to come from it from, like, a new perspective on it. And I'm just not sure how much I like I like them as, like, if it was this how you got to, like, next sections or something, but since they're doing it in a book format, it just feels like, haha, look, it's still Homestuck, don't worry about it. Look, it's still Homestuck. But again, maybe I already know that this is something that is explained later and I'm just sounding like an idiot, or maybe I'll find out and we'll find out together.
John's being controlled by a terminal from somebody else.
The mayor. Yeah, the mayor actually decided to control a back. Is like, John, you have been hiding in your house for fucking ever. Stop it. Go outside. Touch grass. I like that you like this, the Salamander Village, that John lives in Salamander Village.
I think last time I did say, I hope we get to see lifestyles of the salamanders or the carapacians or whatever.
And you got it immediately. We get the carapacians and the salamanders lifestyles in the prologue. Yeah, I just think it's funny that John's like, oh, nothing ever exciting happens here, and I know because I'm the god. And I'm like, you did not create this society in 7 years. Like, because I can't remember if the fast forward happened in the Act 7 flash or in the Snapchats or both. But like, so either you fast forward the population, like, hundreds of years to get to society at this point, or however many years to get to society at this point, or the society managed to happen in 7 years, and that's how like nothing happened. I'm just being nitpicky, I guess. I think this is just like, I think I've just entered my being nitpicky phase, as though I ever left it.
Salamanders are just not into drama.
No, they're not. They're just chill. They're just like going to work with their crumpled little hats and blowing spit bubbles. They're just chill. Also, I'm not into the colored text. I did kind of forget that it still had colored text for them talking out loud. I like colored text when they're not talking out loud, specifically in a book format, right? Because this is a fic on AO3, which then again, like, there are still fics on AO3 that do use their colors for when they're talking out loud. I actually have like one that was written for me. That's one of my favorites that was written like that. But I did have to turn off dark mode because, like, when I was reading Homestuck, dark mode also changed the color of the text so it could be read better on dark mode. But I guess, like, something was different about the coding for the epilogues. Maybe it's just like an update to the asset pack that I just don't have or something, or just something went wrong. But I had to turn off dark mode because it was very hard to read John's text on dark mode without super eye strain.
Yeah. I will say I did read the prologue on my phone from Homestuck.com.
Oh, you were able to access it?
Well, yeah, that part worked, and then once I clicked on Candy 1, it gave me like a server error. So then that's why I was asking. And I ended up listening to Candy 1 on YouTube.
Yeah, functional site. And don't worry, it's gonna come back. Eventually, piece by piece, so you'll be able to read the epilogues officially on the website in 2054. Or it just will be abandoned, like so many other things. We'll see. Oh yeah, and then the first Snapchat decanonization that I noticed is John has not done anything for his birthday, at least last year, kind of like implied for a while. And so this is his birthday. He's turned 23, so I don't forget. It's been 7 years, so I don't forget. Everyone's 23. It's been 7 years. No one's mentioned Jane's birthday yet, by the way. John doesn't think I should also wish Jane a happy birthday, by the way. That hasn't come up yet.
Do they have the same birthday?
Yeah, they have the same birthday.
I didn't remember that.
Dirk and Dave have the same birthday. Rose and Roxy have the same birthday.
Oh, okay.
Jake and Jade, they all have the same birthday of their, like, alpha beta pairing. So, just no thought about Jane. Because why would anyone think about Jane? Yeah, and then it's so long since John has called Rose that they can't fucking remember the last time John called Rose. Who apparently has some, like, big shit to talk about, so John has to fly over. And Rose looks like shit. And totally doesn't have a drug addiction. We don't know how serious the totally doesn't have a drug addiction is. Because, like, she says it's, like, actual prescription stuff. And Roxy's like, I don't know, maybe it's not. I mean, she was pretty defensive about it.
And she was taking multiple pills during that just short scene. I'm like, I don't usually think you get prescriptions for once every 30 minutes.
Yeah, just a very house way of doing it, you know? I mean, maybe they were different prescriptions for different things. I don't know. There's another very long spiel about what canon is. If you wanted something in addition to the big hushy spiel I said at the beginning, and then my big spiel a little bit farther from the beginning, and then now Rose has one.
And I don't know if this was before she started talking about canon, but just that Jade had said the green sun is gone and doesn't have that power anymore. And then her and Dave and I think it auto-corrected, but I put Karkat.
Karma. Yeah. Her, Dave, and Karma.
Yeah. Something suicide strike from powerful being or black hole or something.
Yeah, because the Green Sun was destroyed by, like, the same sort of shit that Rose and Dave tried to do, except by someone more powerful than a pair of 13-year-olds in pajamas. And almost successfully, except a black hole was still needed after the suicide thing. And then, yeah, just a lot about canon, some of which has too many words for me to want to sit down and think about, and some of which I, like, kind of agree with and kind of disagree with. But it's also, like, in the context of, like, characters who are living in a canon world specifically. It's just like, okay, we don't have the alpha timeline anymore, but there is a canon.
There's in canon, out canon, and not canon.
Yeah. Though I do want to say, it's like, Rose talks about having this growing awareness of everything, right? Mm-hmm. And Roxy, like, later calls this the ultimate self, which I guess is what Rose has been calling it when talking to Roxy. And we talked about the ultimate self with Dave Petta, right? Dave Petta kind of, like, brought that up as a concept, if not, like, using it as, like, a proper noun, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Of, like, because they were a sprite and because, like, they were a heart player, maybe specifically, they were able to kind of, like, take in all the information from all the Doom timelines and all the alternate versions of those two characters and not have them fucking explode, which they said might happen if they weren't a sprite. And so here is Rose dealing with that, and while not exploding, clearly deteriorating. I don't know, maybe this is me being nitpicky, but I think it's kind of weird that Rose calls it an unfortunate side effect of God tier abilities, and then says that it's not about stronger abilities, it's about the growing awareness of the narrative. But that doesn't make sense. So it's either, like, I would think that instead of, like, a side effect of, like, God tier abilities growing more powerful, it's just a side effect of being God tier for a long time. I think that makes more sense than saying it's about abilities and then saying, no, we're all doing the exact same thing. I'm just able to tap into it better because of my abilities. I don't know. I think it's a weird explanation. I'm probably being really nitpicky about it. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't think that it has to do, because, like, then, like, figuring out what is happening would, like, look different to everyone. And, like, I guess that's kind of, like, implied by John's dream of how he was dreaming about a black hole, but I don't see how, like, retcon or, like, windy powers would mean he has to dream an anime about it. So I don't know. I think it was badly explained, but I could just be being nitpicky. Or I could not understand something. I mean, I understood a lot more this last time we read through Homestuck that I didn't fucking understand before, and this is only my second time reading the epilogues in full rather than just going back to specific sections. So I could just be misunderstanding something that I then later was like, oh, right, this was this, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, Jade, Dave, and Karkat in a perplexing social arrangement.
Mm-hmm.
Which then we later get the same thing whenever John doesn't know what's up with Roxy and Callie.
Yeah.
Just, like, all these people and all these weird-ass relationships that I guess no one's put a name to and everyone's just confused about instead of asking anyone. Kind of similar to, like, Dave and Karkat at the end of Homestuck, when, like, Vriska and Terezi were talking about how they don't know what quadrant they fell into, but they're cute anyway.
John's just aromantic and asexual and is like, I don't understand what everyone's doing here.
Yeah, I definitely, like, super headcanon asexual John and then aromantic Jake, but, like, aromantic John is also very neat. Because, like, he just, like, does not understand. Like, I realize he's 13, so that's a lot of the explanation for it in the beginning of Homestuck. But he just doesn't understand why these people are, like, he doesn't really seem like he's had crushes on anyone besides, like, the people in his movie posters, right?
Yeah.
And he seems very nervous at the idea that, like, a girl would be, like, into him and he doesn't know what to do with it, right? But yeah, that's besides the point. But yeah, freaking no one knows what's going up with any of these relationships. But yeah, John has to get back into canon and defeat Lord English, because that is a dangling thread that has to be resolved, and by resolving it, they will be officially tied back into canon.
They are conditionally canon at the moment.
Yeah, the conditionally is, does anyone give a shit about them? Yeah, then you made the note that they can't just go fight Lord English, they need to take some steps to authenticate canon.
Yeah. Which she was just like, well, it'll happen as you do it, so whatever.
Yeah, but then she also wrote, like, a series of steps reminiscent of, like, Terezi having John use his retcon powers. So, Yeah, so John, I'm reading your notes again, you took better notes on this section. Yeah, John will need active players inside the canon. He can't, like, grab anyone to go with him that's outside the canon with them. He has to get like active players that are still like back in where he's going to have to like retcon himself back into. So like Rose can't go, Jade can't go, but like young Rose might be there and young Jade might be there, and he has to punch someone again.
Mm-hmm. It seemed implied that it was Vriska, because he said again, right?
Yeah, but I think he said something about like not liking, like he felt bad about punching like the last person rather than the last time, but I could be wrong.
Okay. That's just how I interpreted it, because it was being ambiguous.
It was being ambiguous on purpose. But yeah, that's how I read it. And then, very urgent text, and John goes out to have a picnic with Roxy and Calliope, who are, holding hands, but I guess probably not dating, but like maybe dating, but like no one really knows. Is it no one knows, or does John just not know? Because like, I guess John still has feelings for Roxy. Because like, here's the thing with John and Roxy's feelings with each other, is like, John is saying it as though they for sure 100% had feelings for each other before, that they mutually understood. And then now John still has those feelings 7 years later and doesn't know if Roxy still does or if John missed his chance. So, but like at the end of Homestuck, it was kind of like implied maybe they had like a flirtation or, well, okay, so like Roxy right out said that John was hot, like in her monologue, right? But like Roxy thinks a lot of people are hot. Roxy wanted to fuck Dirk and Jake and just, like, that's just Roxy. It's fine. You're allowed to be like that, Roxy. You've only known 2 boys ever. One of them's gay, and the other one is being vied after by your other 2 friends.
Yeah.
So it's like, first decent guy you see after that. Yeah. I don't know if it is like either a retcon or just a stronger interpretation of how things were left off at the end of Homestuck, or if this is referencing like maybe they dated or like had, or at least went on a date or had some more talks whenever they first came into Earthsea, and then since then there hasn't been anything. But to me it feels like they're just like adding more onto like how things, how feelings were at the end of Homestuck.
Mm-hmm.
John did at some point have a trickster lollipop, because again, this feels like it is deciding some things from the Snapchat are canon and are referencing events from the Snapchat without like going full blown in, and but also like disagreeing with the Snapchat. I don't know. It could just be like, oh yeah, these things happen to have happened, and we're just like vaguely referencing it and stuff. But I also feel like this is supposed to be referring to what people would know from the Snapchats of like the lollipop at Rose and Kanaya's wedding, which also happened. They're married. So it could just be saying, like, things that have happened earlier, but especially the lollipop thing, like, Rose and Kanaya getting married, that's fine. That would have happened, right?
Mm.
But, like, the lollipop thing, I don't know, feels like it's specifically... I'm just mad when they cherry pick while also saying that things aren't canon. They just have a bad idea of canon. I get mad about.
They just hit the reset button, new document, but reuse some of the same ideas.
Which is a mood, but it's just like... You're telling the fans that, by the way, this isn't canon anymore, except for the things that I decided are, and you will have the most reference for if you did pay attention to that. I'm just very critical about this. Because, like, the whole, like, John giving Roxy the ring, like, apparently, like, he thought that had, like, more significance than it did, which doesn't make sense, because it was always supposed to be given to Callie. Dami brought up that, like, big Roxy-Callie shippers are, like, Roxy gave Calliope a ring, and that was kind of like a symbolic marriage. Like that was a like symbolically like an implicitly romantic gesture between the two of them. And it wouldn't make sense. I mean, again, John was 16 at the time, but like I don't think it would make sense for John to feel like it was the same thing of giving the ring to Roxy when inherently it was not for Roxy, it was for Roxy's friend. If anything, John was more like a ring bearer, right?
Yeah, plus like Roxy and Callie were already like besties anyway.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't get why, like, we have to, like, look back on that and feel like that was, like, a more, like, importantly romantic gesture on John's behalf when it just really didn't seem like it at the time. And this is one, huh?
Yeah, it didn't, I from my memory, it was kind of just like, oh, yeah,
Here you
your
go.
friend is dead? Oh, I can give you this ring. I was gonna give it to someone else, but you can have it.
Yeah. Which maybe that's supposed to be the thing, is like he was thinking about, like Vriska wanted him to give it to her, and they used to have a thing, and he didn't give it to Vriska, he gave it to Roxy instead. But I just feel like that's like fan theory crafting and not something that's like more obviously implied in the comic. And this is kind of like my problem and like some other people's problems with the epilogue, is that they are not only doing a new canon, it feels like they are retconning or like adding on to stuff that happened within the original Homestuck rather than just building off of what it was there. Which, like, on the one hand, it's hard because it's been 3 years since it ended and there's more writers than just Hussey. And like in those 3 years, or like even longer, depending on like when whatever thing is being messed with, people have come to their own interpretations about scenes. So maybe whoever was like writing this, like that's how they interpret it. It seemed extremely obvious to them. So of course they're writing it here. But like, that's kind of the problem with this stuff. And there's like going to be more than that is like feels more obviously retconny that I'm going to take issue with. But this is one of them I didn't notice before that just seems like, especially like fresh off of reading Homestuck, feels like kind of weird. And Calliope actually introduces the John, whether he's going to introduces the choice to John, whether he's going to defeat Lord English or not, which he didn't even think was a choice. It's like, obviously he's going to do it. Now he has to actually sit down and think about it. And then like the choice is set up is like, hey, before you make the choice, just choose if you want meat or candy for lunch, which is just wild. Like, imagine like someone said like, okay, well, I have like mac and cheese or I have a sandwich. You can only have one though. There's like plenty for both, but you can only have one of these. That's insane. It's like, I want both meat and candy. It's like, neither of these are like actual meals. Together, yeah. They're almost more of meals because it's just more than one thing. It's just a wild, like, I get that it's a setup to go the meat and candy route, and it's a setup for like what are those are going to be thematically. But it's just also dumb because like having a binary like this is something Homestuck would say fuck you to. And so far they haven't. I mean, from what I've heard about from Homestuck 2, I haven't read it yet, but so far they have not done a fuck you to this binary, which I guess I'm spoiling to you right now, but I don't know. It just feels relevant because we are given this binary choice. John is given a binary choice. There is no subversion on this being a binary choice as of yet. Mm-hmm. Which, you did candy first. I see your candy notes first.
Yeah, because I just wanted to, I don't know. I guess I just wanted to see what that one was. Though, as I was listening to it, it didn't seem like what would be canon in a way. That's the impression I got. It's like you're starting your adventure story, and it's like, actually I'm staying home. Which could be funny.
Yeah, right, because it's like supposed to be like light and sweet and just like everything you want, like a kid who gets to like feast on candy at like on Halloween and then gets a fucking stomachache later, but like, hey, you didn't have any worries and you feasted on candy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought the description of the candy was weird because I'm just nitpicking everything, where it's like both like crunchy enough to have shards but then like dissolves quickly in your mouth. But you know, this is like alien candy. I don't know, man. It could be like those those Christmas mints you can get only around Christmas time that are kind of soft.
Yeah. The little peppermints that are like the softer versions.
Yeah. I love those. Mm-hmm. And John says what he considers to be a bunch of empty-headed babble about what if he just chills out and like, because like, I mean, like he might potentially fuck things up here, but he might fuck things up worse by like going back to like change things, right?
And then he like kind of starts appreciating stuff. It's like, depression solved. Just
have some candy. That's definitely also been my motto.
Be like, are you going to go fight a monster? Or, I can choose not to? Okay, well, actually, maybe my life isn't so bad.
Yeah, because Calliope describes it as the weight of the canon universe has been lifted off of them. I think the implication is that, like, the entire cast we know has been weighed down by the expectations that were still on them from canon, or, like, I guess like PTSD maybe even from canon. Kind of like, I think there's a bunch of different interpretations you could have, and like a lot of them are probably like overlapping.
Mm-hmm.
And then now that John has chosen not to tie off that loose end, to let canon go, that they now can all move on from canon.
Yeah.
Another nitpick is Roxy squeals, and John is like, I think it's sexist to say Roxy squealed. But it was girly, and I'm like, I think that's more sexist to say it was girly than to say it was a squeal.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that was intentional. I don't know if that was intentionally supposed to be like, haha, see, he was more sexist the second time. But I don't know.
Yeah. Like, between Meat One and Candy One, like, Roxy's response is completely different in each.
Well, I mean, it's kind of not super different because, like, in Meat, when he chooses to leave, she seems disappointed. In Candy, when he
Yeah.
chooses to stay, she's happy. So I think
Well,
it's,
yeah.
like,
That just makes me
consistent.
wonder,
Like,
like,
they're different reactions, but
what
they're
her frame
consistent
of reference,
reactions.
right? What it means to go fight Lord English and
Yeah.
versus not being canon anymore or canon dissipating.
Because, like, it's implied that Rose has told her a lot more than she's told John. Like, has been talking to Roxy about this for a while. So there might be some, like, other implications of what John does that could be bad. Or it could just be, like, she doesn't want to see him go. She wants him to just chill out. Like, maybe, like, she has his sort of idea of, like, this shouldn't be the responsibility of, like, one person, right? Like, John should be allowed to chill out. But yeah, like I said, there could just also be, like, some implication of, like, there being some greater danger that John is not aware of. And Gamesy's been in a fridge for 7 years.
Yeah.
Like, he's just been in a fridge.
Do they not need to eat?
Maybe Purple Bloods don't. Purple Bloods are supposed to be hard to kill. I don't know. Like, it's just wild. And then it's wild. It's even wilder. Maybe not even wilder, but John's like, I don't know. Do you think it's like we should really release him? Isn't he kind of shitty? Like, I mean, John, you weren't even around for most of the shitty stuff he did, for one thing. For two, I'm pretty sure anyone who has been locked in a fridge for 7 years has served their time.
Yeah.
I think they should be allowed to be out and apparently have a chance for redemption. And then John says, it's like, if this is supposed to be the age for redemption, might as well start it with a honk. And it's like, but like no one said anything about it being an age of redemption until bringing up the honk, which again, I'm being nitpicky about the writing. It just seems like, like that was something that they meant to talk about earlier and then they forgot.
Yeah. Who else is being redeemed? Is John thinking he's redeemed or something?
Right. Like it could be like the redemption of their non-canonicity. Maybe like by not killing Lord English is now redeemed from, I don't know. That just seemed weird to me. That's that on that. And Meat starts with the grossest description of eating raw meat ever. I mean, maybe outside of like horror novels.
I did not enjoy that.
Yeah.
That's what I needed the content warning for. I didn't know I needed it, but I needed it.
Right. Was that on the list? It probably was.
I don't know.
Graphic depictions of food eating.
Mm-hmm.
Or again, like it's the cannibalism. But and then it's like, I get this is supposed to be like, again, thematic of like meat would be harder to chew and tougher to swallow, but more filling. But like, Calliope, you have been around humans and trolls and people who like cook things for 7 years, and you are having a picnic with your maybe not girlfriend, to which you have invited John, and you did not even a little bit cook the meat, even though you know, like, I mean, I don't know what diseases they have on Earthsea, but John could die from that.
Yeah.
Or like get really bad diarrhea, which people can also die from. Like
AU where John just gets dysentery and dies.
Exactly. Like, what are you doing, Callie? Like, it's been 7 years. You have learned how to cook, like, that's not how people eat things. You can eat it that way. You can have, like, your own slice for yourself, but if you're offering it to someone else, fucking cook it. I mean, he goes for it, though. He fucking, like, snorts up meat out of his nose.
Ugh.
In front of all the chess guys, like, fucking the chess guys, his crush, person who gave him this meat, he just gets gross with it. Just blood dribbling down his throat and everything. It's like, do they just not, like, drain the cows enough? Or, like, whatever the meat is? It's like, they do not just do enough bloodletting?
Not halal.
Yeah, it's like, are there no, like, did we just get rid of the Jewish people? Even though, like, it's kind of implied that Rose is Jewish based off the Snapchat wedding. I guess they, like, retconned the Snapchat wedding so Rose wasn't Jewish. I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure she like stomped on a glass or something. Other people who know more about Jewish traditions have talked about it than me. And just like imagine being one of the chess guys who just walks past and like you see like the god of your world just like eating meat in the most viscerally disgusting animalistic way you have ever seen. You got those little dull teeth, man. They're little dull teeth. You can't do that.
And I guess it does kind of seem out of character for John to just be chowing down on that, but...
like with such enthusiasm and just like covered in viscera.
Face down, snow angel in blood or something.
Yeah. It's how fucking like Will Graham from the Hannibal TV show would eat meat at the end of his character arc. Shout out to Hannibal fans that I forgot. Fanibals, that's what it is. Fanibals. Shout out to the Fanibals about Hannibal. It's so good. I cannot eat while watching that show. And yeah, like we said, Roxy's disappointed because this is like John saying, "Okay, time to go do it after I shower."
Mm-hmm.
And then he writes a letter to his 10 closest friends after failing to hug Callie and Roxy, which is probably good because you are covered in like just like more than you would think a slab of meat would produce.
Yeah.
I love your notes on meat, which is, "Ooh, do not like eating raw meat. Gross." John writes notes to buddies. And that's it.
There wasn't a lot of action in this one.
No,
big reveal
there wasn't.
Free the Gamzee, which I guess Gamzee doesn't get freed in this timeline of meat. Then.
Or at least it's not important enough to have John do it. Maybe they'll do it later. But John sure as hell ain't doing it. I don't know. Maybe it's written on Rose's note, and so it's like, okay, fuck. Okay, he's not doing Lord English, which I'm very happy about, but Rose did leave him a note to free Gamzee. We still need that to happen because it's really fucked up. We let that guy stay in a fridge for 7 years.
Mm-hmm. Maybe the note is go back in time and open a jail and then like free Gamzee and then put him in the jail.
Yeah, right. And like at least it's a jail and not a fridge.
Of course, if he's just alone in the jail, that's kind of still bad.
Yeah. At least he can like move, stretch, not just have his fucking like muscles disintegrate. Bed sores.
Now I feel bad for Gamzee.
Yeah. Yep. We feel bad for Gamzee. That's why he's getting a redemption arc in the Candy route. Because it's like, what do you mean you locked this guy in a fridge for 7 years because he did about the same amount of murder as several other people you're fine with? No, like, I'm not trying to downplay it. Like, Gamzee did, like, do other shit, like actively helped, like, Lord English rise and, like, took care of, like, baby Callie and, the cows, Clive and Caliborn. And Lil Cal, Gamzee took care of all the cows and, like, really set the Alpha timeline in motion in a lot of ways. He is the most important Homestuck character. And, he's been stuck in a fridge. This is how the Candy timeline can get its relevance back, by unleashing Gamzee again. Vriska Hoomst. We don't need Vriska for relevance. So, there wasn't a whole lot. You had 3 lines for Candy and 2 lines for meat, but was it enough to decide which route you want to go with?
Not really, just because I feel like Candy had a good runway of, like, kind of no, like, I don't know, there's the having to free Gamzee, that's the next step. With the end of Meat 1, it was like, okay, well, you just gotta start. And so I still don't know what to expect from Meat 2.
Yeah, they're gonna, the general plan is for John to zap back into, like, Homestuck proper, and recruit younger versions of themselves to go do some shit.
Would it be okay to read Candy 2, Meat 2?
Let me see how long those are.
I just think it'd be an interesting contrast.
There is so much more talking in Meat 2. Let's check out Candy 2. Why are these chapters called... Like, if you go to, like, the table of contents, it's Prologue, then Meat, Epilogue 1, Epilogue 2, Epilogue, etc. And then it's the same with Candy. Also, I thought they had different numbers of chapters. I guess I was wrong. I don't know why I thought that. Maybe it's different, like, word counts or something. And then Epilogue 2 is shorter.
I'm also looking at YouTube for the minute amount for the reads.
Yeah, they're both pretty short. I'm just trying to figure out if, like, it would help you decide. Oh, wait, I clicked on the wrong thing for... Oh, wait, Epilogue 2. Okay, Epilogue 1. Oh, they do have different ones, and it's just, like, not broken down by chapters. I'm dumb.
The Candy 2 read is 12 minutes, and the Meat 2 read is 28 minutes.
Yeah. Me Too is pretty long. Yeah, I am not sure if this would do any better of a job for helping you figure out what to do, but we can still read
This is
both.
just how I'm going to read all of the epilogues back and forth.
Yeah, I think like you suggested it as a joke, and I said it was a terrible idea, and then someone said actually that's considered to be like a legit way to read it. So I don't know about that, but it's a thing that we can do until you figure out if you want to go one or the other.
Yeah, I guess we could see, like, oh, this is really catching me, and I want to know more about this, and, you know, more so than the other thingy.
Yeah.
Also, the Let's Read for Meat 3 is like 3 minutes. That's weird. Oh, Candy 3 is also 3 minutes. I don't know, maybe I should just, like, read as much as I feel like reading on each one and be like, okay, I read 4 chapters of each.
Yeah, I mean, because they are split up in, like, different sections, like, different, like, you know how I was confused about the Epilogue 1, Epilogue 2 stuff? I don't know. We could read to the end of, like, Epilogue 1 of each and see if that does anything, but that also could be a lot. So, yeah, we could just do, I don't know, chapter by chapter.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused, because also the EPUB that I have doesn't have a really good table of contents that I can see. Well, okay. Yes,
You'll
there
just
is.
have to...
I see it now. There's the Epilogue 1, Epilogue 2.
Yeah, and those are like the big chunks. Okay, so the plan is to read the rest of Epilogue 1 of each route and see what your feelings are at the end of that, which Candy is only 3 chapters, so we'll see if that, like, offers you enough to continue on. I definitely don't remember what happens at the end of each thing, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I remember Candy a lot more than I remember Meat, probably because I wrote a musical about Candy, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think next like a week from today, I had something already scheduled for Thursday night, so it'll be probably like 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, since you're back in school, I figured we wouldn't do it like weekly anyway. Back in school. You're back teaching. My other friend's back in school.
Yeah, I mean, I'm back in the school.
Yeah. Physically present.
Scaring the students.
Yeah.
Showing them software that they don't know how to use.
I mean, the step 1 to learning how to use software is seeing it for the first time.
Yeah. Does Hussy know what Git is?
I mean, maybe. It's hard to tell how much Hussy knows versus how much, like, the main programmer they have right now knows. God, sorry. I still can't get over that. It's just going to be that one guy. From the implication of, like, the tweet about it, it's just going to be one guy responsible for bringing Homestuck, like, making the Homestuck website functional. Like, it just feels set up to fail. Like, even Geo and Bambosh were, like, together with mods and, like moderators and other moderators with people making mods for it and, like, helping out in other ways. And it just wasn't, like, one person making a Homestuck website functional.
They could hire me.
Yeah. No, you've associated with Geo, so you're dead forever.
Oh, no.
Like, legitimately, they would just... I think, like, their background check step is, did you associate with Geo? Okay, fuck you for the rest of your life. Anyway, reminder, we are switching these to monthly episodes, so it will be a hot second before we see you again. Like, maybe if we have a backlog of it, I'll start releasing, like, every other week again. But don't count on it, because school has started back and the holidays are coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing very bad at VGC draft, and I need to focus on building my team up better so I can win one game. That would be great. And then also I have to finish my Dirt Cat fic that people have been waiting very patiently on, because I'm so close to the end and this is such a time to stop. Like, what a cliffhanger to leave people on. Anyway, so Moosie, where can people find you?
You can find me at moosad.com, and it has links to everything else.
Yeah, and Live Laugh Stuck is, like, its own full website now. Like, it actually, like, I didn't realize that I could for free just have my domain as my, like, podcast domain, because usually things don't like that. I guess I'm doing a shout out for Transistor at the end of this, not the game, which is very good, even though I haven't played it, but the podcast host I use, because I just like made the Fanworks page that is still currently under construction, and it still looks kind of bad, but it's functional, and that's what counts, because the website builder is free for your podcast, and like I can put like JavaScript and CSS in it, and fucking like WordPress makes me pay before I can change the theme colors, not my own colors, but like the already like preset theme colors you can switch your theme to. I have to pay for that. And this is like, I don't know, fuck it. Like there's no like editor or anything. It's just like a text box that you can put whatever code you want into. And so if it looks bad, that's my fault, not the websites. But I was able to make like image carousels and stuff, or slideshows, or whatever the fuck you want to call them. Carousels and slideshows are different things. Don't come at me. But yeah, and I think that's neat. And I like Transistor. Yeah. Anyway, you can find me. It's gonna be on the fucking in the outro and everything. jacksjacks.com, livelifestuck.com. Send me some money on Ko-fi if you want. You can just give me $1 once. You can give me $1 every month, or you can not give me $1. There's 3 choices instead of just 2.
Just like how many cannons there are.
No, the problem is there's only
in canon, out canon,
in canon, out canon, not canon. So you can, in canon, be a subscriber. Out canon, give me $1 once. Or you can not canon and not give me money.
And then
right, Moosie.
We'll dissipate.
And then we'll dissipate. I mean, like, for real, though. It's like my people who give me money pay for my podcast hosting, right? Like, that is, like, covered from the people who very generously give me money every month. And like, actually, I think it's a little bit more than that, which might cover like the annual cost of my websites, you know, because I have my own domain names. So anyway, thank you for listening this far. This is probably the shortest amount we've read, the least amount we've read for anything, and one of the longest episodes that wasn't like the rating ship names, like just like a normal Moosielogues, a normal like we're talking about Hometuck episode, because it's me and this is what happens. I'm sorry, dummy. We'll see you next. We'll see you next month, I guess. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you to Dami for composing the theme song and editing the episode. You can find more of her work at soundcloud.com/dominothief. Shout out to our fakest fan tier supporters, Danny the Spoon Lord and Tezrak. You can become a supporter and receive early episodes and bonus content for as little as $1 a month over at ko-fi.com/jacksyaks, or simply give a one-time tip. For information on and links to my other projects, head over to jacksyaks.com. Thanks again for listening.